Live from New Delhi, you're watching DD India News Hour, India's voice to the world. I'm Mark Lynn. Namaskar. Coming up in the next hour. Canvassing ends for the fifth phase of India's general elections. 49 seats spread across 8 states and union territories to go to the polls on May 20. Fierce fighting continues in northern Gaza. This despite Arab leaders agreeing in Bahrain to work together to stop Israeli aggression in Gaza. Russia says it has taken control of a village in Ukraine's Kharkiv region. Ukraine's Zelensky is going to complete 5 years in office on May 20. His approval rating is around 60%. And the moment of reckoning arrives to see whether RCB's rise from the dumps could propel them to the IPL playoffs. They are taking on Chennai Super Kings in a do-or-die match for both teams. So let's get you the latest on the largest democratic election in India. Campaigning for the fifth phase of India's general election timed out on Saturday. Voting for the fifth phase will take place on May 20 when 49 constituencies from 8 states and union territories will go to the polls. With the remaining 13 out of 48 seats in Maharashtra voting, this phase will mark the end of the polls in the state. It will also be the last phase of voting in the union territory of Jammu and Kashmir, as one of their 5 constituencies will be voting. The union territory of Ladakh will also be voting in this phase. The 2024 general elections, which began on April 19, is seeing the country of nearly 1 billion voters poll in 7 phases until June 1. The results will be declared on June 4. Meanwhile, campaigning continues for the 6th phase of the election. Senior BJP leader and Prime Minister Narendra Modi held rallies in Haryana's Ambala and Sonipat. Addressing an election rally in Ambala, the Prime Minister sharpened his attack on the Congress party and said that for the Congress, vote bank politics is everything. Banto Kataria's wife of the former Union Minister late Ratan Kataria is the BJP candidate from Ambala, while Mohanlal Badoli is contesting from Sonipat. The polling in Haryana will be held in the 6th phase on May 25.
कांग्रेस को महिलाओं से, किसानों से, नौजवानों से कोई मतलब नहीं है। कांग्रेस को सिर्फ वोट से मतलब है। अब बताइए, दिल्ली और हरियाणा में हाथ में झाड़ू लेकर घूम रहे हैं और पंजाब में कह रहे हैं झाड़ू वाला चोर है। अब इन्होंने हरियाणा वालों को समझ क्या रखा है? भाइयों बहनों, इनके लिए वोट बैंक ही सब कुछ है।
Senior BJP leader and Home Minister Amit Shah and Union Minister Smriti Irani were in Amethi today, where they campaigned for the Bharatiya Janata Party. Both leaders were flocked by many BJP workers inside the Rath, which navigated through the crowded streets of Amethi. The parliamentary elections in Amethi will take place in the 5th phase, which is May 20. Amit Shah also held an election rally in Lalitpur of Uttar Pradesh. Uttar Pradesh's Chief Minister Yogi Adityanath is currently in Maharashtra, where he addressed a public rally in Dhule. Now, Yogi Adityanath will also address rallies in Palghar, North Mumbai and Central Mumbai. He must have done so by now. And the BJP President J.P. Nadda held a public meeting in Himachal Pradesh's Kangra. He also had held rallies in Chamba and Solan. And the Congress President Mallikarjun Kharge held a press conference in Mumbai along with the party's alliance partners such as Uddhav Thackeray and Sharad Pawar. And Kharge said that the alliance is confident of winning 46 out of the 48 seats in Maharashtra. The Congress General Secretary Priyanka Vadra, along with the party's candidate KL Sharma, held a roadshow in Uttar Pradesh's Amethi constituency on Saturday. Gandhi was supporting Sharma's campaign against the incumbent lawmaker Smriti Irani of the BJP. Amethi, as we said earlier, is going to the polls on May 20. Earlier in the day, Priyanka Gandhi visited a Gurdwara in the Rai Bareli constituency of Uttar Pradesh, where her brother, the Congress leader Rahul Gandhi, is contesting the elections. And we are joined by our correspondents. Dibyendu Mondal is joining us from Bangaon, and Tapas Bhattacharya is joining us from Lucknow. Thanks for being with us, both of you. Dibyendu, give us a roundup of the election campaigning so far on the last day.
Well, Mark, good evening. Of course, the election campaign has now come to an end for this particular phase of elections here in West Bengal. The BJP, the Trinamool Congress, the CPM and the left, I beg your pardon, the left and the Congress have all campaigned rigorously for their candidates here in West Bengal. In this particular phase, remember Prime Minister Narendra Modi also addressed 4 campaigns for the BJP for this particular phase, while Home Minister Amit Shah addressed 2 rallies here in West Bengal for the 7 seats that are going to polls on the 20th of May. So, of course, while the Trinamool Congress's Abhishek Banerjee and Mamta Banerjee also addressed multiple rallies and conducted roadshows in different parts of the 7 constituencies that are going to polls here in West Bengal. So, of course, it's an action-packed election campaigning that ended just a while back here in West Bengal. Now, of course, we are in the silence period where the people of, in fact, the electorate and the people of these particular constituencies will deliberate and dwell upon who they would like to cast their vote on the 20th of May when these seats goes to polls. So, of course, high-stake battles in many constituencies here. Specifically, where I am, this is a prestige battle for the BJP because, remember, the CAA was brought in by the BJP to garner votes for their support because the fact that about 40% of the population on the electorate where I am currently in the Bangaon Lok Sabha constituency constitutes the Matua who will be directly impacted by the Citizenship Amendment Act and the implementation of it by the central government back there in New Delhi. So, of course, it's an interesting battle. All the political parties will fight it out on the 20th of May. Back to you, Mark.
Tapas, you also tell us, give us a roundup of the poll campaigning and how it sort of reached a crescendo towards the end and how actually people are now after the campaign, what's actually happening.
Well, so we saw yesterday in evening in Lucknow now, and after that today also in parts of Amethi and Rai Bareli, there was a lot of campaigning going on yesterday. SP Chief Akhilesh Yadav, had a road show today. Amit Shah as well as Congress, party leaders have had a road show. Then and there are other leaders also doing roadshows in different parts of the states, especially there are 14 parliamentary constituencies which are there in this particular phase. And remember, the last time BJP won 13 out of the 14 constituencies. So in that sense, BJP would like to make its mark in the in the next 3 phases. Remember, this is the 5th phase. There are 2 more phases, and out of those 41 seats will be in Uttar Pradesh, and they will like to make a mark in this particular phase. And the other part I like to mention out here is that a lot of people are talking about the fact that it's a development plan. It's a vote they want to give to development issues, but then it's a prestige issue for the opposition at the same time. It's a prestige issue for Congress. It will be interesting to see whether they will be able to save their pocket borough seats, like for instance Raebareli, Amethi. Will they be able to save that? Last time 2019, remember, Amethi, they lost to Smriti Irani. This time Congress, Rahul Gandhi is standing from Raebareli. So there are a lot of conjectures going on, and Congress has made it a prestige issue. So they want to win this particular seat by any way. So hectic parleys, hectic campaigning happened at that time. But as I mentioned, it's today at 5 o'clock, 5 p.m. The whole campaigning has come to an end, and it will be interesting to see on 20th how the voters turn out and how they vote and which party they vote for. It will be interesting to see. As I mentioned, in this particular phase, there are 3 main parliamentary constituencies which are very important. The first is Lucknow, the capital, where Rajnath Singh is standing for BJP, Raebareli, for where Mr. Rahul Gandhi from Congress is taking part, and obviously Amethi, where Smriti Irani is taking part, who had a major she won the last time around in 2019. Whether she can repeat that sort of a performance, that remains to be seen.
Tapas, you have mentioned the key contests, and you've also given us an idea that among the issues is development. Now, you've spoken to a lot of the people as well. Gauge for us, if you will, what the political mood is like one day before, or before the 20th, and how people are, thinking about what they want to do. What's on their minds, basically, I'm asking you.
It's interesting to say. Right. Yeah, I mean, I spoke to some of them, but they're very clear, and it's said a very important point that they mentioned. They mentioned the fact that a common man, when he goes to vote, at the very fag end, he still thinks who he wants to vote. So there are those kind of voters who will make up their mind once they reach the polling booth, polling station. There are obviously every party, be it SP, be it BSP, be it BJP, be it Congress, they have their pocket bros, or what you call their support base. So they will the support base will come to the fore. They will come and they will vote at that time. But it is the silent voters who decide what to do right at the time they reach the polling station. So it would be interesting to see which tide those voters go, which party they choose, because what the swing, I mean, if they cast their vote in a particular manner, the swing will actually decide the fate of the candidates, and that is where the major difference lies, both in 2014, 2019. That is something that both the opposition as well as the ruling party is banking on, that the swing is in their favor rather than the opposite way. Okay,
Dibyendu, tell us also a little bit about the poll preparations now that the campaigning has ended. We have the elections have been rather peaceful in West Bengal. Of course, they're being stretched over 7 phases. But given the fact that it has a history of poll violence, what special arrangements are being made this time round?
Well, Mark, that's right. This time around, we have seen much lesser poll violence as compared to the previous years that Bengal has been known, has been marred with political violence, especially during the polling time in different parts of the states. Of course, this time around also, the Election Commission as well as the local administration is taking every adequate steps to ensure that there is free and fair and violence-free elections this time. So, of course, apart from the paramilitary forces that will be conducting and that have been conducting route marches in sensitive areas, the Election Commission has also identified the sensitive booths which will be completely manned by the paramilitary forces. And quick reaction teams are also placed in strategic locations to move quickly and swiftly as and when, if any incident of poll violence or booth capturing, or for that matter, any violence is reported from any part of these 7 constituencies which are going to polls. Of course, the safety and security of the polling officials are also key to the Election Commission's preparations. Of course, they have also taken adequate measures and they have taken, steps to ensure that their safety are also taken into consideration. The safety of the EVMs are also being taken into consideration by the Election Commission officials here, because we have in the past seen that EVMs have been broken inside the polling stations here in Bengal. So, of course, these are some of the key issues that the Election Commission is taking with seriousness and ensuring that there are no poll-related violence. In the last couple of phases, we have seen there have been, it's not that there have not been any reports of violence, there have been violence, but the number of incidents have gone down drastically this time around because the Election Commission says that they have taken all measures and deployed a heavy number of paramilitary forces. What I hear is that for this particular phase, more than 250 companies of paramilitary forces will be stationed in strategic locations in different parts of these constituencies. This is apart from the number of paramilitary forces that will be manning the booths. Yes, back to you.
We'll leave it there. Thank you very much, Dibyendu Mandal and Tapas Bhattacharya, for filling us in with the details. Now, the United States has praised India's vibrant democracy as the country holds the world's largest election. A U.S. official has applauded the Indian voters for exercising their franchise.
Vibrant democracies in the world in India, and we applaud the Indian people for exercising, their ability to vote and have a voice in their future government. And we wish them well.
Still to come here on DD India News Hour. A glimpse into how buffalo milk is collected in Sonipat. India's chief economist says that the government is addressing the employment challenge. The IMF is in talks with Pakistan on the 24th longer and larger bailout program.
Has reached Lucknow, capital of India's most populous and politically significant state, poll-bound Uttar Pradesh. 80 crucial parliamentary constituencies spread over 7 phases.
यूपी तो कम से कम 80% बदल गया।
मतदान हमारे देश के लिए बहुत हितकर है, क्योंकि हम मतदान नहीं करेंगे तो सही नेता को हम जज नहीं कर पाएंगे कौन है।
अगर मेरे युवाओं से कहना है जो पहली बार मतदान कर रहे हैं, पहले मतदान करें फिर जलपान करें।
मतदान करें ताकि अच्छी सरकार का गठन हो सके। हम चाहते हैं बदलाव हो, तो एजुकेशन की तरफ, गरीबी की तरफ, बेरोजगारी की तरफ।
मतदान करना इसलिए जरूरी है क्योंकि हमें देश के भविष्य को बनाना है।
The Bharatiya Janata Party has seen the dominance in the last 2 editions of the Lok Sabha polls, while the opposition, particularly the regional war houses, are desperate to bounce back to power.
You're watching DD India News Hour. I'm Mark Lynn. The northern Indian state of Haryana, which produces numerous sporting personalities, is also fond of buffalo milk. The creamy milk helps the village economy to earn a tidy sum. Vishal Barrister travels to the countryside and takes us through a buffalo milk collection experience.
Riding a motorbike with a special apparatus, Shahid visits almost every house in this village. His job is to test the fat content in the milk and then collect the milk. If the sample gets 100 units on his machine, then the milk gets a good price.
Daily I cover almost every house in this village. If the milk sample has 100 units of fat, it is worth 80 rupees a litre. There are 10 such collectors like me.
This buffalo is a breadwinner for Darshan and his wife. The milk it gives fetches good money for the family.
I have been selling buffalo milk for some years. This animal gets me 10 to 12,000 rupees a month.
To increase the fat content, the animal needs special diet and care. Almost every house in the small village of Kohla in Sonipat district relies on buffalo. These are the buffaloes of Darshan. 4 kilometers from Darshan's house is Nuran Kheda, where there is a collection center. 8 to 10 persons on motorbike, they collect milk with fat content from around 30 villages, and there it is collected and sent to the cooling plant. Now this provides an economic help not only for these villages but also for all the villages in the vicinity. 4 kilometers away from Kohla village, the milk is stored here under refrigeration. Those who stay nearby reach here on foot. Every sample and quantity is carefully inked on the register.
Milk is collected from the neighboring villages. Every day we collect around 2000 liters of milk. Then from here it reaches the cooperative dairy through tankers.
Buffalo is the backbone of Kohla village's economy, and the animal is certainly its best friend. As they say, a friend in need is a friend indeed. With cameraman Aniket Dubey in Kohla, Sonipat, Vishal Baristo for DT India.
Well, India's chief economic advisor, V. Anantha Nageshwaran, said that the government is focusing on addressing employment generation challenge through skilling and employability.
The reverse migration that happened during the COVID years is actually returning to normalcy. And there is employment generation. If you look at the data in 21-22 and 22-23, which wasn't the case before, manufacturing sector, having put its balance sheet O's behind it, has started generating jobs. And also the growth in the real estate sector from the lows of 2018-19, etc., is also leading to job creation in the construction sector. And as I pointed out in my presentation, the combination of better physical digital infrastructure and the balance sheets, I think should show us if in the coming years that employment generation challenge will largely get addressed, but there is still work to be done, which is about skilling and employability.
India's G20 Sherpa, Amitabh Kant, also spoke about the urgent need to accelerate the adoption of electric vehicles in the country. He highlighted the Indian government's initiatives in this regard and the significant role also of the private sector. And he was addressing the Confederation of Indian Industries annual business summit in New Delhi on Saturday.
The government has already allocated 57,613 crores for procuring 10,000 electric buses. So once that gets accelerated, you will see two-wheelers, three-wheeler manufacturing, buses manufacturing. And I think the next big ticket thing will be the battery manufacturing, for which the production-linked incentive scheme has been bid out, and you will see many companies from manufacturing batteries in India, from Tata's to Reliance to Maruti to Exide, many companies doing battery manufacturing, which will be the next big driver of growth. So our objective should be to make India fully electric as far as two-wheelers, three-wheelers and buses are concerned by 2030.
And Dammu Ravi, who is the Secretary Economic Relations in the Ministry of External Affairs of India, emphasized that trade should be more holistic and integrated as an economic activity. He was speaking at the Confederation of Indian Industries annual business summit 2024 in New Delhi on Saturday.
The trade today has to be seen in a more integrated manner. Trade, goods, investments, services, industry, manufacturing are all so integrated. And in more recent times, we're beginning to see this finances, technology, and e-commerce are also very critical in the way we see trade evolving. The point I'm trying to emphasize here is how do you see trade as a more holistic and integrated economic activity?
In the latest from the Russia-Ukraine conflict, the Russian forces have captured a village in Ukraine's Kharkiv region. The Russian Defense Ministry said that the Russian troops are continuing to advance in that area. The Russian forces attacked Kharkiv region's north last Friday, making inroads of up to 10 kilometers and outnumbering Kiev's troops who are trying to hold on to that region. President Putin of Russia said that Russia was creating a buffer zone in Ukraine's northeast to protect its own border regions, but said that capturing the city of Kharkiv, which is Ukraine's second largest city, was not part of his current plan. A White House official has said that the U.S. government does not encourage or enable attacks with U.S.-supplied weapons inside Russia.
We do not encourage nor do we enable attacks using U.S.-supplied weapon systems inside Russian territory. That's the policy. That has not changed.
And for more on the story, we are joined by Dasha Chernyshova, joining us live from Moscow in Russia. Dasha, what is Russia's stated aim in advancing into Kharkiv?
Well, as we have heard President Vladimir Putin saying that what is happening in the Kharkiv direction is the result of the Ukrainian shelling of Russia's border regions, including that of Belgorod. President Vladimir Putin said Moscow is trying to create the buffer zone, or the so-called sanitary zone, which would not allow the Ukrainian weapons and missiles to reach the territories of Russian regions, Belgorod, Kursk and Bryansk, that have been under the increased shelling from the Ukrainian side over the past months. The Russian president also noted that capturing Kharkiv was not on the list of the plans for the Russian military, at least at the moment, but obviously different things could change. But all in all, you have to keep in mind that Russia's operation in Ukraine is ongoing, and no matter on which direction, all the actions of the Russian military are directed at one thing: to achieve those goals. They have been stated as demilitarizing and denazifying Ukraine, but as we see more weapons coming to the Ukrainian side, there will be more attacks carried out by the Russian armed forces.
Yes, Dasha, and is there any sense of fatigue among the common Russians about the length of this military operation? I mean, it's well into its third year now.
Well, obviously, many have hoped that the operation would last only a few days when it started in February 2022. But as things have progressed, at this moment, the understanding among the Russians is that this operation has to end with Russia actually achieving at least some of its goals and providing for the security of Russia. So if you talk to the people, they would try not to talk about it publicly, but at home they would certainly be speaking about when this operation ends, because keep in mind that the lives of many Russians have changed following the start of this operation. Many had to leave the country, many inside the country had to change their habits, to change their jobs because of the departure of Western companies, and obviously the fatigue is there, but the understanding among the Russians is that this operation is there and it will last for a while until the goals are achieved. And the nomination of Andrei Belousov, the veteran economist, as the new Minister of Defense is seen in Russia as an indication that Russia's spending has increased, and that means Russia is in this operation for the long haul.
Dasha Chernyshova from Moscow, thanks very much. Now, mob violence has targeted international students in Kyrgyzstan's capital, Bishkek. It's an advisory and posted on the social media. The Embassy of India in Kyrgyzstan has said this: we are in touch with our students. The situation is presently calm, but students are advised to stay indoors for the moment and get in touch with the embassy in case of any issue. India's External Affairs Minister Jaishankar said that welfare of Indian students in Bishkek is being monitored. The situation is calm as of now. He advised the students to stay in touch with the Indian embassy. The first shipment of aid reached the shores of Gaza via a pier built with U.S. assistance. The White House said that additional aid from the United States was arriving in Cyprus to be loaded onto ships for delivery into Gaza via the new pier. In a post on social media, US President Joe Biden said that the need to get more aid to the most vulnerable regions is urgent. A White House official said that the US has a robust security plan to protect personnel involved in operating the pier. A small number of US troops are involved in helping to facilitate the aid from ships to the pier and for security purposes. Israel's army released footage of the arrival of aid. That was on Saturday. It showed the arrival of aid. This delivery takes place as Israel comes under growing global pressure to allow more supplies into Gaza. The temporary floating pier was pre-assembled at the Israeli port of Ashdod, and it was moved into place on Thursday off the coast of Gaza, which lacks a port infrastructure at the moment. And the pier operation is estimated to cost about $320 million, and it's going to involve thousands of US troops. The International Monetary Fund has confirmed that talks with Pakistan are underway on the 24th longer and larger bailout program under the extended fund facility of the IMF, which is called the EFF. Addressing a press conference, the IMF Communications Director avoided answering questions about the staff-level agreement, indicating that the negotiations are ongoing. The director noted that on April 29, the IMF Executive Board had completed the second review of the standby arrangements by Pakistan, allowing the disbursement of about $1.1 billion US. She further emphasized that there is a missing ongoing and that will be communicated once the findings of that mission is on. In fact, this is a mission that is currently ongoing, and it will be communicated once it's over. Let's take a look now at other stories making news around the world. Around 50 people have died and thousands of houses were also destroyed following a fresh bout of heavy rain and flooding in central Afghanistan. Last week, flash floods devastated many villages in northern Afghanistan, killing 315 people and injuring more than 1,600. Heavy overnight rain on Friday led to the flooding and high water levels in parts of Germany near the French border. Emergency services and aid organizations worked through the night to secure property and help with evacuations. A special exhibit tracing Rio de Janeiro's transformation in transportation is being presented at Brazil's National Historic Museum, which is celebrating 100th anniversary. Still to come here on DD India News Hour. The Slovakian Prime Minister Fico's condition remains serious but stable 3 days after being hit by an assassin's bullets. The ADB partners were able to raise $16 billion for sustainable finance in 2023. And Donald Trump wants a debate between the vice presidential candidates, but he's not even announced his running mate as yet.
We are looking at a seminal relationship that is redefining world politics, the so-called no-limits strategic partnership between Russia and China.
These two countries are actually trying to create a world order which moves away from Brussels and Washington DC.
If you look at any chance of a conflict between India and China, it would be very difficult for us to imagine that Russia would put all its weight behind India.
You're watching DD India News Hour. I'm Mark Lynn. Here's a recap of our main stories. Canvassing has ended for the fifth phase of India's general elections. 49 seats spread across 8 states and union territories will go to the polls on May 20. Russia says it's taken control of a village in Ukraine's Kharkiv region. Ukraine's Zelensky is going to complete 5 years in office on May 20, and his approval rating is around 60%. The moment of reckoning has arrived to see whether RCB's rise from the dumps in this IPL could propel them into the playoffs. They're taking on Chennai Super Kings in a do-or-die match for both the teams. Slovakia's health minister has said that the condition of Prime Minister Robert Fico has stabilized. It remains serious, however. This is in the wake of Fico's assassination attempt on Wednesday. The Deputy Prime Minister Robert Kalinak stated that Fico's transfer to Bratislava, it's not going to occur in the coming days. Despite this, communication with the Premier continues. Fico's recent 2-hour surgery has bolstered hopes of his recovery. Meanwhile, the suspect in the shooting of the Slovakian Prime Minister was taken to a specialized criminal court close to Bratislava on Saturday. The Slovak police have charged the suspect with attempted murder. In a significant boost to climate initiatives, the Asian Development Bank witnessed a substantial rise in partner co-financing. It soared by 44% to US $16.4 billion in 2023. The surge, detailed in the ADB's Partnership Report of 2023, Climate Action Sustainable Development, strengthens the bank's resolve to address the intricate challenges confronting developing member countries. Co-financing for sovereign projects reached US $9.5 billion, and non-sovereign operations received about $6.9 billion US dollars. The Republican candidate for the United States' presidential elections, the former President Donald Trump, on Friday said that he wants to debate the US President Joe Biden. Biden and Trump have agreed to 2 debates ahead of November's election, scheduling televised face-offs that could prove critical in their fight to win the White House. The first debate will be aired on the 27th of June on CNN, while ABC said that it's going to host the second presidential debate that's going to take place on the 10th of September, sometime away from now. But during a visit to the city of Minneapolis, Trump said that he expected the moderators of the debates to be fair. He said that a deal was in the works for a debate between the vice presidential candidates, even though Trump has not even announced one as yet.
I think we're actually going to be getting a lot of those union votes that they typically get. I think we're going to get a lot of the union votes. United Auto Workers, they're fed up with United Auto Workers in terms of their leadership, and I think we're getting that. I think we're getting a lot of Teamsters voting for us. We're doing polls. We're like at 82%. And tough to get the top guys, but I think we're going to get some top guys very soon.
The U.S. Vice President Kamala Harris has urged more Indian Americans to run for elected office, saying that they are currently underrepresented, given their growing population in the United States. Her comment comes as the Indian Americans from across the country gathered in Washington, D.C. to organize themselves ahead of the U.S. presidential election. Here's Kate Fisher with the report.
From grassroots activism to running for office, Indian Americans are a burgeoning force in US politics. And with less than 6 months to go until the presidential election here, politicians, activists, artists and community leaders have gathered in Washington to try to work out how to increase their impact. And there's no time to waste on that, according to US Vice President Kamala Harris, who says that at the moment, not enough Indian Americans are running for office. Well, some of those already elected to the US Congress have offered their inspiration.
When I was first elected in 2012, I was the only Indian American member of Congress. Now there's 5 of us, and you see all these candidates running around the country. So it's not just running for office. You see folks that are running campaigns, that are in high positions in the administration or on Capitol Hill or in state houses. So I think it's an ascendancy. And from the Biden campaign, we know in critical states like Nevada, Arizona, North Carolina, that are states that are in play, the Indian American population, if we get good turnout, can be the difference.
There are some critical states around the country, Arizona, where Indian Americans can make the difference in a House seat, but also in the presidential race. And so I think our goal is to make sure that we're engaging the population, that we're turning them out to vote, that we're getting them excited, that we're building up the momentum, and helping people to see that Indian Americans are becoming more and more prominent, and we want their voices and we want their engagement.
But the war in Gaza could turn out to be a stumbling block on the campaign trail.
The shift in U.S. policy is absolutely essential if we are going to win back voters across the country for whom it is very difficult for them to listen to our economic message. As I said to him, we can't get in the door to talk about your message, Mr. President, because we need to have a shift on Gaza. And if we have that, then we can earn back the votes.
This year's US presidential election is one of the closest in history, meaning that the millions of Indian American voters will be more vital than ever in deciding who will lead the country for the next 4 years. In Washington, Kate Fisher reporting for DD India.
Well, family and friends of a black U.S. Air Force personnel who was shot and killed in his apartment in the United States state of Florida by another police personnel have gathered for a funeral service in the state of Georgia. Bidding an emotional farewell to the Air Force personnel, the family demanded justice for their son and warned people not to open the door to the police. Florida has released the body camera video of a police official shooting the Air Force personnel who had a handgun at his side in his apartment, after a civil rights attorney who represents the family urged officials to release it. The U.S. Justice Department and TikTok on Friday asked the U.S. court to set a fast-track schedule to consider the legal challenges to a new law requiring Chinese-based ByteDance to divest TikTok's U.S. assets by the 19th of January or face a ban. TikTok, ByteDance, and a group of TikTok content creators joined with the Justice Department in asking the U.S. Court of Appeals of the District of Columbia to rule by 6th December in order to be able to seek a review from the Supreme Court if needed. Last week, TikTok, the parent company, ByteDance, filed a similar lawsuit arguing that the law violates the U.S. Constitution on the number of grounds and also includes running afoul of the First Amendment's free speech protections. Some of Europe's leading tech experts have gathered in Berlin to discuss the future opportunities and challenges presented by artificial intelligence. One major focus of this conference was the growing AI collaborations taking place between business and government, with European experts saying that India will be key to ensuring AI can play a pivotal role in global development. Here's Trent Murray's report.
It's always tricky to predict the future, but for tech experts gathering in the German capital, one thing is clear. AI is coming, whether we like it or not.
With the blueprint of the AI governance instrument, totally. It's a very bound task, it's a very difficult task, of course.
The Rise of AI conference brings together over 200 of the best and brightest in artificial intelligence, mapping out what the world will look like as the technology continues to make inroads in manufacturing, financial services, healthcare and security.
How we can accelerate, how we can speed up. You know, we have the entrepreneurs, we have the capital, but not enough capital. It's more like the Americans are doing very good, very fast. China is very strong on it. And Germany is ambitious, but too slow, very European slow. So we want to reduce regulation and want more incentives, more, let's rock this together.
Now, India's tech industry body predicts that the country's artificial intelligence market will be worth over $17 billion by the year 2027, growing at an annualised rate of 35% over the next 3 years. And those are numbers that have caught the attention of many here in Europe. Experts say investors see India as a hot topic of conversation amongst the sector, given its enormous talent pool.
Everyone asks me about India. India is a democracy, so values are the right ones. Third, it has a lot of technical expertise, and I think they are destined to do it. And India is perfect for this because they have the power, the intelligence, and the right values.
And with everything from free trade negotiations to increasing bilateral investment, the current political and business landscape suggests that cooperation will continue to strengthen between Europe and New Delhi, as both sides map out a future that will increasingly be dominated by developments in artificial intelligence. Trent Murray for DD India, Berlin.
Well, still to come here on DD India News Hour. Tyson Fury versus Alexander Usyk. It's being billed as the Ring of Fire, and it's going to take place tonight in Saudi Arabia. And the napkin used by Barcelona to sign the soccer star Lionel Messi has sold for nearly $1 million.
A humanitarian law was vilified across the world simply because it wanted to address the problems of the people escaping religious persecution.
हमारे को लग रहा है कि हमारा हिंदुस्तान के अंदर नया जन्म हुआ है। जो महिलाएं होती है उनके मन में मतलब इच्छाएं होती हैं मन की वो उसको त्यागनी पड़ती है।
Other than India, no other place to go all over the world, and that's why you can't make them wait in the normal process.
These people needed special provision because we have to save future of women and children.
You're watching DD India News Hour. I'm Mark Lynn. Time to get you the glitz and glamour from the Cannes Film Festival. This next report tells you more on the 77th edition of the festival. What does it take to restore an old film and screen it afresh? The Bharat Pavilion of India saw an interesting discussion on the restoration of the Shyam Benegal directed Manthan.
Hours before the screening, Manthan had its red carpet moment at the Palais des Festivals. The screening in Cannes was made possible because reels of the 1976 film were preserved in film vaults for decades and restored. At the Bharat Pavilion, Shivendra Singh Dungarpur, founder director of the Film Heritage Foundation of India, gave a glimpse into the tedious restoration process.
We didn't have the sound, and we had to take it from different prints. We had to get the DG betas. There was a lot of work. In fact, the film was not syncing because the prints were already cut by the projection. You know, when they go for projection, so it was a huge challenge to bring it back.
The film will now be released in theatres in 70 Indian cities on World Milk Day on 1st June. But this is not a solo project of the Government of India.
I'm very happy that we could play an instrumental role in getting this film restored, and not just this film. I mean, we have a project. We call it the National Film Heritage Mission Project, and under that project, we have allocated more than 1,000 crores, and 4,000 films, 4,000 plus films, are being restored at the National Film Archives of India.
Manthan was inspired by the pioneering milk cooperative movement of Dr. Verghese Kurian, the father of the White Revolution in India.
My father thought of doing this simply because he had just started Operation Flood, which was responsible for the revolution in milk in India. And he felt that this story was a story worthwhile to be told. It was also a film that was taken to all the villages by the spearhead team and shown to the villagers to start cooperatives in the villages that were covered under Operation Flood.
Manthan is credited for unleashing a socio-economic transformation in India and for being instrumental in empowering farmers and thus helping India become self-sufficient in milk production.
Doing this great job of restoring a film, which is not just a film, it's actually a socio-economic impact on the Indian society and dairy industry and empowerment of women that we are talking about, but which happened almost 50 years back.
Manthan's story revolves around the struggles and triumphs of a small group of farmers that come together to form a dairy cooperative to improve their economic conditions. It depicts the story of the inception of an extraordinary dairy cooperative movement that transformed India from a milk-deficient country to the world's largest producer of milk. With cameraman YK Loknath, this is Munmun Bhattacharya from Cannes for DD India.
The Hollywood veteran Nicolas Cage appeared on the Cannes Film Festival's red carpet on Saturday for the premiere of his new movie, The Surfer. The Australia set film is part of the festival's midnight screening section and the Irish director Lorcan Finnegan's first feature film to be presented at the cinema showcase. Cage waved to fans and posed for photographs as he made his way up the iconic steps to attend the film's world premiere. He has previously attended Cannes for David Lynch's 1990 film Wild at Heart, which won the Palme d'Or at that year. Let's get to the sports news now. And in the Indian Premier League, Faf du Plessis' Royal Challengers Bengaluru, they're going to be taking on Rituraj Gaikwad's Chennai Super Kings at the Chinnaswamy Stadium in Bengaluru in a short while. With 3 playoff places already decided in this season, the race for the final spot has heated up in the competition. The defending champion CSK, they have 14 points with a better run rate. And for its part, Bengaluru has 12 points and a net run rate of 0.387. But what has heightened the drama surrounding this game is the forecast of rain. A washout will take CSK through to the playoffs, while RCB will need to win with at least 18 runs, by at least 18 runs, or they'd have to chase the target with 11 balls to spare. The long-anticipated world heavyweight title unifying fight between Tyson Fury and Alexander Usyk is going to take place in Riyadh in Saudi Arabia tonight. Fury, who is 35 years old, the British WC world champion, and his 37-year-old Ukrainian counterpart Usyk, who holds the WBA, WBO, IBF and IBO belts, will lock horns over 12 rounds in the Ring of Fire contest in Riyadh. So the winner is going to from the clash is going to become the undisputed heavyweight world champion. And both men boast of undefeated records over successful careers. The Indian men's doubles pair of Satvik Sairaj Ranki Reddy and Chirag Shetty, they have entered the Thailand Open final. The Indian duo have beaten the Chinese Taipei's Lu Ming-che and Tang Ke-wei in the semi-finals. They had sailed into the semi-finals with a straight set win over Malaysia's Junaidi Arif and Roy King Yap. The Indian pair are going to be up against China's Chen Bo-yang and Liu Yi in the summit clash. The auction house Bonhams has said that a napkin on which Barcelona promised to sign Lionel Messi when he was a 13-year-old boy, has now sold for $969,000. Messi became one of Barcelona's greatest players, winning more than 30 trophies and leaving the Catalan club as its all-time leading scorer with 672 goals. Now, he also won a record 8 Ballon d'Or awards for the world's best player, and he also led Argentina to a World Cup win in 2022. Now Messi plays for the US club Inter Miami. Well, that's all we have in this edition of DD India News Hour. Let's know your thoughts on the news of the day. And for those of you on the go, you can get the latest news from our mobile app, the DD India mobile app. It's available both on Android and iOS platforms. Scan that QR code on your screens and you can get it. We'll be back with more news as it breaks here on DD India. I'm Mark Lynn. From all of us here in Delhi, thanks for watching DD India News Hour. Namaskar.